Welcome back into Sports Nightly. I'm Jessica Cootie and delighted to be joined once again by the president of the University of Nebraska for another chat, another update. Dr. Jeffrey Gold joining us here on Sports Nightly. Always great to have you here in studio.
Always a pleasure. What do we have for tonight?
Well, listen, every time you're on, fans, listeners are just enthralled by your background, love hearing all about you, how you got here. So wanted to do a little bit of that here tonight. Let's start with, did you play sports growing up? What did you like about sports?
Well, I loved sports growing up, but, as many know, I grew up in the inner city of New York, and we played stickball. Now, I'll bet you there are an awful lot of fans that are listening that never heard of stickball, but that's when you take a broomstick and you try to whack a small rubber ball out and then run the bases, which, by the way, are hubcaps that have fallen off of cars in the middle of a street. And the interesting aspect to it, and actually the most dangerous aspect to it, is not that you'll get thrown out on one of the bases or, heaven forbid, miss your chance at bat, but that there's traffic on these streets. And so you're always looking behind you and in front of you to see which cars and trucks are coming up and down the street, while you're also keeping an eye on this small little ball and trying to hit it out and circle the bases. Not exactly the same as Husker baseball and softball, but was very important. And then when I went to college, I actually tried out for a number of different sports. I actually tried out to do some fencing. Wow. Which I found out to be a very, very difficult and very disciplined sport, and actually tried out for 150 crew at the time as well, and then ended up doing several semesters of learning how to ride a horse, to jump and to show, and it was all English at that time, and that was a lot of fun, for a kid who grew up in the inner city of New York that had basically never been on a horse before. To have that kind of experience was really remarkable.
Wow, that's incredible. Is fencing one of the sports you like to watch during the Olympics then?
It is. I've always enjoyed it, and it's given me a lot of respect to see how hard the fencers work and prepare. As my mom and dad once told me when I was fencing, that was some of the best physical shape I'd ever been in my life, and I'm guessing it's all been downhill since then.
Wow. Okay, so for those that know you best, how would they describe you?
I hope that they would describe me as a caring individual who is always asking the question of how can I do better, and how can I and we help others more. I'm well beyond the stage of personal accolades, awards, and certificates and trophies and things of that nature. And I get up in the morning and go to sleep at night asking the question of how can I help other people. And I'm not interested at all in the credit for it. To the contrary, the more that I can do as what I call random acts of kindness, just a small, tiny little thing that no one will ever know, pick up a tab in a restaurant for somebody, pay for somebody's groceries who's struggling, the tiniest little things, to uplifting a student who is struggling, or talking to a faculty member about a grant that they may need some help with, whatever it might be. Those are the things that really give me joy in life, and those are the things that I hope I'm thought of about.
How about Grandpa? Is
that
that part of the
too.
Description too?
Oh yeah. Well, that is so interesting because I knew when the grandkids came along. We have 8-year-old twin grandchildren, the only grandkids in the family, and I knew that my wife would be immediately sucked into this and love every minute of it. What I underestimated was how fast and how tightly I would be pulled into this, and how much I love being with these young people, because they ask you all kinds of crazy questions, of course, and no different than your own kids do growing up. I like to say that grandchildren are God's gift to us for raising our own children. I think there's a lot of truth to that, and I tell you, I appreciate every minute of time with them.
Oh, that's great. They're big Husker fans too, right? They like coming and watching the sports here on campus?
Oh, absolutely. They've been to a lot of events, and we're actually planning the next fall season together.
Oh, that's great. Well, school has ended. Summer is here. What's on your mind as you look back at the past semester?
Well, it's been a semester of challenge. Certainly, the biennial budget is always front and center on our mind, and I really appreciate the hard work of the Appropriations Committee and the body of the unicameral, and of course the teamwork with the governor and the governor's financial folks who have worked shoulder to shoulder with us to go from what would have been a very substantial cut to actually a modest but very thoughtful plus-up to the university budget. We're still going to have some hard decisions that we're going to have to make to get things balanced. We just had some committee meetings with the Board of Regents, and we're starting to frame that out before the June public board meeting, but a lot better than we started earlier in the year. And I particularly appreciate it because the Financial Forecasting Board has continued to share concerns about the long-term financial biennial future for the state based upon corn prices and other produce prices based upon the cost of delivering services. And so all of that together has raised some concerns. And so the ability to speak in a way of affirming the high value of public education in the state by the University of Nebraska system, I think goes a really long way. And it's a message that needs to be appreciated by our faculty and staff and students to try to keep our higher education affordable.
Okay, so as you look ahead to the summer months, what is on the docket for you?
Well, living out the reality of the budget, of course, is on the docket. Travel across the state. I've got several trips that are planned to literally crisscross the state from border to border and to meet at schools, to meet Rotaries, to talk to some 4-H groups and everything and anything in between. And of course, just as many of our fall teams are going to be involved in 1-a-day and 2-a-day practices, we're going to be getting ready for the fall semester as well and talking about new programs, staying laser focused on strategic planning, and of course, continuing to grow the reputation of the university.
And then as you look ahead to the Board of Regents meeting coming up in June too, there's a couple of important things on the docket there for you.
Well, the June meeting will, of course, be critical, as it is every year, for the budget for the next academic year. But this meeting is also going to be very critical for the appointment of the next chancellor at the University of Nebraska at Kearney, Dr. Neil Schnorr, who is selected by our committee, has been toured with me across the state, and I am very hopeful that the recommendation by our committee and certainly my personal recommendation to the Board of Regents will be well received. You know, after more than 2 decades with Doug Christensen and now almost a full year with Charlie Bisek, it'll be great to have a permanent board-approved chancellor leading the critically important Kearney campus. You know, I've gotten to know Neil quite well during this 30-day vetting period. He's a remarkable individual. He knows the community well. His wife is, you know, soon-to-be retired principal of Kearney High School. You know, you couldn't ask for a better match.
All right, President Gold, let's wrap this thing up talking some Husker baseball and softball. What a weekend it was. Yet another Big Ten championship for Husker baseball and Husker softball. Boy, they put Nebraska on the map once again, making it to the Super Regionals.
Absolutely, and you know, I was really grateful for that rain delay because I could watch both games and enjoy both of them. You know, certainly the Lady Huskers did a phenomenal job, and it was a real heartbreaker. There are so many, you know, one pitch, one hit, one fielding error could have made all the difference in this, and to their coach and to all of their players, and particularly for Jordy, who did a phenomenal job. You know, kudos and our very best wishes. And of course, for our amazing baseball team, again, you got to think that Greg Sharp somehow touched this in some way or another, because there were so many moments that could have gone one way or another in this you know, single elimination series. And for us to shut out UCLA, just an amazing game. And I know that there's a lot of challenge ahead coming up this weekend in Chapel Hill. And that's going to be a pretty tough hill to climb as well. But I know that our guys are up for it.
Not surprising to you, I'm sure, to see the crowd that showed up there at Charles Schwab.
15,000 strong plus. And you could hear them chant, "Go Big Red" and "Husker Power" and all of the things that make the Nebraska experience. There was an interview with several of the pitchers, and they said, "I couldn't even hear the signs." And maybe that's part of the game now. Who knows?
Great stuff, as always. We appreciate you spending some time here with us on Sports Nightly.
Absolutely.
Again, President Jeffrey Gold joining us here on Sports Nightly. We got to step aside for a break. More of the show coming up right after this.